The day begins with fire, a sudden roar, bright against the night, as the balloon swells with heat. Around you, fabric giants stir awake, rising, one by one, lanterns against the darkness. You weave between them, canvas walls breathing in and out, the smell of propane thick in the air. Then lift, the ground drifts away, the desert shrinking below. 50 other balloons rise with you, a slow-motion fleet carried by the morning air. This is the desert's one cool hour, still, quiet, touched by a faint breeze. You float toward the cliffs, and there it is, the Temple of Hatshepsut. From above, it looks impossible. 3 perfect terraces cut into the rock, lines so clean they could have been drawn yesterday. Carved around 15th century BC for one of Egypt's female pharaohs, who built this not as a tomb, but as a way to bind herself to the gods forever. Around it, the hills are riddled with tombs, silent markers of power long gone. Turn east, and the Nile flashes green, slicing the desert in two. Villages and fields cling to its banks, life pressed close to the water. And then, the moment comes. The sun forces its way over the horizon. The crowd in the basket cheers, voices small against the immensity of it all. Up here, floating above Luxor, you understand. This land was built for eternity. The Valley of the Kings doesn't look like much at first. A sun-blasted gorge, rock and dust under a pitiless sky. It feels almost hostile, as if the land itself wants to keep its secrets. But then you step inside, and the world changes. The walls explode with color, reds, yellows, blues, hieroglyphs sharp as the day they were carved. Gods with animal heads march across ceilings, symbols of eternity dance in flickering light. The deeper you walk, the more it pulls you in. A labyrinth of paint and stone that feels alive. You could lose hours here, tracing stories in the walls, imagining what it meant to descend into this place 3,000 years ago. All of this, these tombs, these halls of color and stone, are carved straight into the mountain. Just hollowing out the rock would have been impressive enough. But then, they covered it in art, in visions of gods and afterlives, in symbols meant to outlast time itself. And somehow, they have. These tombs don't just preserve the dead, they preserve questions about power, faith, how far humans will go to touch eternity. Walk its tunnels, stare at its walls, and you feel it. The afterlife was never an idea here, it was a destination. Take King Tutankhamun here, mummified and sealed away to never be seen by the eyes of another human being again, only to be put on public display for everyone to see a few thousand years later. I'd be pissed. Then there are the sarcophagi, immense blocks of granite and quartzite, carved so smooth they catch the light like glass. They're bigger than the passages themselves, too heavy to move by any logic we know. How they were placed here remains a mystery, another piece of Egypt's puzzle that refuses to be solved. And yet, standing here, you realize the mystery is the point. The weight of the stone, the brilliance of the paint, the silence pressing in from the mountain itself. It all feels designed to humble you, to remind you that these kings weren't just chasing immortality. They were building a conversation with eternity, a dialogue still happening long after their voices are gone. Step back into the light and the Temple of Hatshepsut rises in front of you. From the air it stuns, but on the ground the scale's undeniable. Terraces cut into the cliff, stone towering above. You feel small, and there's no time to linger. Too much to see, too little time. Onward to the tombs of the artists. For centuries, people clung to the theory that slaves built everything in ancient Egypt. But this place pours a lot of salt on that theory. These tombs belong to the craftsmen who carved and painted the Pharaohs' eternal homes. They lived just outside these tombs in a small village, and they built these very artistic tombs for when their own time came. You can see it in the details. Their tombs are rich with the same precision, the same colors, and arguably even greater vibrance than the kings themselves. That does not happen if you are a slave. These men had status, money, and the freedom to leave behind their own mark. They even had their own temple. Small, yes, but bursting with art. Not just decoration, art. The kind that tells you skill was currency here, and it was well respected. What remains of their town still clings to the edge of the desert, a reminder that Egypt's wonders weren't built by nameless slaves, but by artists, masters of their craft, who carved eternity with their own hands. Across the Nile's Karnak, where you go to feel small, like an ant walking through a world built by 100-foot giants. It's the largest religious building ever constructed in the ancient world. Not a single temple, but a sprawling city of stone devoted to Amun-Ra. Sound familiar? Karnak isn't just walls and columns, it's layers of history stacked on top of each other. Every pharaoh wanted to leave their mark here, so what began as a sanctuary grew into a maze of temples, courtyards, and halls, each more ambitious than the last. The hypostyle hall alone holds over 130 columns, some so massive you could fit a small house between them. Walking among them, you don't just feel dwarfed, you feel absorbed, swallowed by stone. And here's the thing, most of these inner sanctums were off limits. Only priests and the pharaoh were allowed in, which makes wandering them today a little surreal. It's like if 2,000 years from now travelers casually strolled into the Oval Office, snapped photos in the Situation Room, and bought a souvenir on the way out. But here, the echoes are different. Every carving, every pillar, every block of stone was a conversation with the gods, a plea for connection, a bid for eternity. And standing here, free to walk where only the chosen ones stood, you can feel just how badly they wanted to be remembered.